the transport amendments, which we'll be quietly work our way through. So the first one is right about there. Who wants to go first?
I think Lynette's bring her seat up now. So this, just to update, this is being circulated to you now, plus also the revised in the last one. Can you see the alternative? So can you squeeze it? What?
You can take a photo of it, put it online.
I'll make you one of those wee infographics you've been wanting for.
I've got a template ready to go.
Okay, right.
Where are you going, Lynette?
Far away, Lynette.
Kia ora. Sorry, so the staff advice up there is that the amendment requests removing line items from the annual plan, capital program or operational budgets. We don't have specific line items in any of those programs. The construction of speed humps and platforms are a component of a project. The two programs that probably have the most are the minor safety program and the minor safety interventions programs that we've taken around the community boards. We've done a very broad, high-level assessment of that. We think the construction cost of the speed humps is somewhere between 100 and 200,000 per year. Now, if council wish to proceed with this, we actually suggest that we undertake a workshop and we understand this a bit clearer, and we bring advice back in time for the adoption of the annual plan with Mary's advice, with the CE's advice around savings.
Okay. Andre, question?
Mr. Mayor, something we've spoken about around growth areas and speed humps and raised platforms being built in that never come to community boards or anyone else for a decision. I'm wondering if we look at that at the same time.
Can do all.
No, that's
Yes. Good. Let me have a wee guess. We'll say Kennedy's Bush Road.
Well,
perhaps.
point being whether we include that in what we're asking for here, or do we bring that up later on, or
I think
I think you know what
I think that's outside, because this resolution is about the annual plan and budget.
Yeah.
You're talking about delegation and process.
Well,
thing.
it is. It does fall outside. Yeah.
It'll bring it
Not
to a
for
head.
this annual plan budget. Yeah,
Okay.
so that's not for the annual plan, but
So
we can.
We'll be able to look at that
we
by
have
in
noted.
another way. Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Aaron?
Yeah, so is the total budget per year for all of those platforms and speed humps 100 to 200? Bryn?
Sorry, that was just speed humps.
Oh, speed hump. Oh, okay. I thought it was both.
Platforms, especially bigger intersection platforms, it starts getting very, but we can look at the whole program. Yeah.
Right. So would we be able to deliver the 130 platforms in the Bromley streets for between 100? That's like 2K a platform.
But we're not.
Sorry.
Right. Right.
So
okay.
this is not about what, this is about what we've looked at, this plan for those two, the minor safety program and the minor safety interventions.
Right.
That's where we've struggled with this response, is that platforms and speed humps can be components of a lot of different projects, and it's quite a big job to pull it all together and understand it.
So you're happy to
Thank you.
change your
All right. Tim?
thing?
If we're going to have a workshop on this, could we also get some information on the positives feedback? Because I know in my area, especially with families with children, etc., they are very pleased with them. No, I'm just asking that if we're going to have that we get around all information.
Hang on, I'm sorry, but to insinuate that staff don't provide balanced advice on anything is inappropriate, Tim. So hopefully that's not what you're saying.
I'm just asking for just
For
if
what,
we
for
get
balanced advice?
We're looking
do you
at
mean?
removing something, so I'm just making sure that we are going to get the positive.
So the balanced advice that we get every time.
Well, around this table, it does seem quite negative at
No,
some.
noted the advice.
We
will-
get balanced. You're the
you.
one that says all the time we
Okay,
get balanced
Tyler.
advice.
Yep, there was and it's apologies to Sam and staff, there was a late amendment from me to provide advice on implementing surveillance systems in lieu of speed platforms. I'm wondering if there may be the ability to actually workshop it.
When did you make?
Oh,
that?
no, it was
We
late,
had all the
so-
amendments.
Sam told me to bring it up. I'm wondering if we could, if possible, melt it into the workshop if transport staff are willing
So
to
you
do
wouldn't
that.
need to do an amendment.
You'd need to do an amendment in the meeting if you wanted that.
Yes,
So you'd need, we haven't got it on record, so what is
And there may
the
not
amendment?
be a workshop, Tyler,
I could
if
just
this doesn't
clarify
pass.
that if there's a workshop, Tyler's hoping to just say, can we look at other measures, not just the speed humps, and what they might cost that would achieve the same outcomes.
yeah.
So that's
that makes
foreshadow it.
sense.
You either have to get the movers and seconders to agree to amending their motion, or you need to foreshadow a motion.
I mean, you know, I guess people, maybe we're hearing from different people, but I get a lot of frustration around speed bumps. And if it's a different mechanism to do it, then I'm all for having that in the workshop. You know, that's fine. So let's just chuck in another word. As good as gold, Tyler.
Either that or I'm happy to provide an alternative recommendation.
No, just chuck it in.
Just procedurally,
Oh,
can we
sorry.
just get this clear? Is the mover and seconder are happy with what's in red?
Yeah, that's great.
And then so it's what's in red that we are now intending to, you're checking
in
if you're
the-
happy to amend that with Councillor Harrison Hunt's wording.
Aaron, are you happy with that? Yeah. No, we'll just
One at a time.
put in what Tyler asked for.
It probably wouldn't address it because it's addressing capital when the surveillance systems would address OPEX in some way, shape or form. So I'm wondering how you'd word it accordingly.
So
Maybe I should just keep it separate and make it clearer. How does
no,
that?
Okay.
Keep it separate.
we'd need to get some advice on our ability to do that. Can we just park that and come back to it? I think we
Yeah,
could
that-
potentially add in request task of our advice on
I'm
speeding.
more than
humps
happy,
And,
yeah.
or considering other CapEx,
Which is-
OPEX, but we'll do it offline.
Yeah.
Okay.
The general
come
intent
back
is
to
pick it up in
something.
the workshop.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Celeste.
I was just curious, when the workshop comes, will we be including the community board in that discussion? Okay, good. Okay, perfect. I'm just bearing in mind that community board spent some time feeding into the minor safety interventions program and prioritise a whole bunch of stuff, which then they won't have a say on if we remove the budget for some things.
Yep. So it might not pass even this resolution, and if it, yeah.
Okay. Done? Sarah? No? None. Done? All right. No more questions. Can we have the next one, please?
Kia ora. The Eastern Orbital Link. This is a request to undertake or to extend the scope of the work being undertaken by the Eastern Orbital Link Cycle Connections project. Staff advice is that this is not listed as a community board priority in the community board priorities for this annual plan. It's not what came through from the community boards. The project is currently running along Marine Parade and Bridge Street, and this would extend this amendment would extend the scope along Marine Parade. Essentially, it is an extension of scope on an existing project. Staff advice is that if you do want to do more, it makes sense to extend an existing project. We have the resources working on it. Our advice is that we would need a bit more money to do that, which is about 30,000 on the project in capital in order to move it forward.
Any questions, Celeste?
Supportive of all of that, just comment is that our chair just emailed through our priorities and this is listed on it. So I don't know if that's been received, but we've got on the list that was sent through Marine Parade, South Brighton shoulder widening. So that's part of this. So I can forward that on. So it is listed in our board priorities.
So it's
Okay. Any more questions? Aaron, please.
Did their board not have the meeting with the transport team that come round that talked about what your board priorities are, and the
We'll just
board
check
was
with
clear with
John.
the
He's
list?
got the minutes from the board meeting. So
You did.
Board chairs were asked to provide their priorities for the annual plan on the 8th of November, and we had 4 priorities from the Waihoro board. The Bromley's Roads QE2 Master Plan, Burwood Maraho intersection, and Brighton Mall upgrade. Nothing else was specifically mentioned in terms of the annual plan.
Thank you, John. Okay. Right.
So procedurally, if your amendment, do you still want to put your amendment? And are you happy with the rewording if you do put it?
Yep. I mean, it probably needs a few less words in it, but. Oh, yeah.
So what you see there, guys?
That's fine.
You
Yep.
still put it? Okay, great. Thanks.
30k cost come out of existing budgets. There's no. Does it come out of existing budget?
No. No.
It's just such a minimal impact that you don't have a number against it.
No.
So then, if the process question, if we had a few of these, they would accumulate
Just clear, it's 30k capex. It's not 30k opex.
All right. Questions done. Oh, Tim, you're good. Righto, next one, please.
Yep, good with that wording.
Okay, that's
Richmond Greenway. This was the southern section of the Transport Choices project that was worked through with the SURF program. The project, Councillor, just to confirm, Councillor McClellan, just to confirm, stops at London Street, but it is a southern section. It has been designed. It's been through the approvals through the Transport Choices program, and again, this is not listed as a board priority in the community board feedback and priorities for this annual plan. If it was to go ahead, we would need additional construction money on it as capex. It's a total of 900 over 2 years.
all right. That's clear. Anyone?
No NZTA subsidy on this.
Victoria?
Just in a similar vein as the previous amendment, it's not listed as a community board priority, but was there community board feedback in the annual plan on this particular issue? Long-term plan? Yes. I can't remember.
I'm sorry, I can't answer that off my head.
What it wasn't, by the time we did the long-term plan, the funding for the full project would have been in at that stage. So it may not have been a priority because it was already set to go and off to the races.
Sorry, Councillor, I'm trying to remember when.
That doesn't really, it's a minor matter. Really.
When the Transport Choices was dropped, it was probably just before the I don't know when the Transport Choices program was dropped. Oh, here's the man that does know. Sorry.
Transport Choices was dropped in the December before you signed off the long-term plan. So we knew about it before it went out before the long-term plan went out for consultation.
And the board put their feedback together.
I don't know about the board feedback off the top of my head, I'm sorry.
But,
And can we just extend that then, when you met with the individual boards and you met with our board to look at our transport program, was it raised at that time as well?
Not that I can recall.
Okay, Sarah, please.
Thanks. Just a comment on the involvement or not of community boards. And we needed a bit more early feedback that was visible to us probably on those things rather than just through staff. But very frequently around the table we have councillors that disagree with their boards over particular priorities, and they're still quite able to put forward projects, and it doesn't really matter because they're the councillor for the local area or whatever, and that's actually okay. And that's happened. Lots of people around the table. And I don't think that we should be bound by necessarily what the top priorities are in any one plan. The boards they're allowed 9 things in their priority list. These are things that, the Eastern Orbital and stuff, those were in the top 9 over 3 years. This is the last chance for those boards to get those things across the line with this council in that term of the community board. So, yeah.
Pauline and Jake, are you happy with the red bit there?
Yes.
Good. Okay, so it can replace.
Yep. Nodding. Right. Okie doke. Thank you. Next one, please. Okay, that's pretty clear. So,
Possible to ask a question?
yeah, certainly. Yeah. So, Pauline, then Yanni, you on a question? Did you say?
So when,
Yanni first.
Oh,
Sorry.
We'd already, didn't we already put money on budget and have done like previous scoping studies and commissioned reports? Like this issue's been going on pretty much since the earthquake, and share an idea. And I was just kind of keen not to reinvent the wheel, but
the thing is, when I was on the joint PT committee with ECAN, we did a whole lot of work on it. The verdict was they came up back with the price, but the timing wasn't right because there was still too much construction in the city. So there should be a lot of work already done.
This is
with the scoping.
Question. So Mark, do you want to?
You want to know where that is?
I'm still getting up to speed on the previous work, but a number of those considerations in the earlier work are still relevant to this point and require updating. So, granted, the previous work was in the context of a lot of construction. We're still in a situation where a number of anchor projects are not completed. There's also still development emerging. There's also uncertainties in this environment of where the gaps are in terms of transport availability. So there's the previous work was at a time when, at a point in time, there's been subsequent changes in terms of public transport since then. The advice is to revisit what was done previously and consider it in the current environment, given those changes, but also need to emphasise that the post-earthquake context, the central city urban form is more compact. Activities are closer together. There's, but that and other considerations can be explored again in terms of a scoping study. I don't think there's enough information or a basis to support committing to a trial at this point. We need to do further work and update the earlier assessments made.
And can you just clarify, 200k wouldn't fund a trial anyway, would it?
No, that's right. That amount of money is sufficient for a scoping study, but a trial would be far in excess of that.
Well, that's the next obvious question. And can it not be done within existing resources?
We don't have the resource for that work at this point in time, so there would be an additional funding required. Certainly for less than 200. I mean, we could scale that down. The amount would have to come back to you on, but a nominal figure of 100 would suffice.
You'll be pleased to know that we've put up all our savings of wherever we've got additional money. They've already been taken. Yeah. We don't have 200k floating around. Yeah.
Okay.
But you're saying 100 actually would be sufficient.
See there.
The microphone's on. The other thought is when the scoping study comes back, that will be in the form of a report to council with options for a way forward.
Absolutely, yes.
Okay, thank you for that.
Okay, thank you. So hang on. We've got.
Could you get one of 100? 100?
Well, we might as well. If you think it'll only cost 100, we should budget accurately and make it 100.
Okay, so 100.
I don't think we know the full extent of the work, so maybe we can provide that advice before the annual plan is adopted, whether it's 100 or 200 or whatever.
Okay.
Shall we say up to 200?
Yes. Yeah, good idea.
So that's because this is a consulting.
Yes, so, and we've only had since this morning, since we've known about it, so we need a bit more time to work that out.
So are we going to hire consultants to do this work?
We will try not to.
So, righto, it is Yanni's turn to talk, so he can talk.
So I was just wondering, so have we checked in with ECAN around the work that they've done? Because don't we have a regional passenger transport committee?
So in September 2022, ECAN rejected any funding or resourcing of this. Their priority at that time was fare concessions and promoting greater use of the existing public transport network. Part of the scoping study is also to explore the extent to which the accessibility within the inner city can be provided by existing services, recognising the route changes.
It's fair to say that if we're doing it ourselves. If we try and push
not necessarily.
Yes.
I mean,
that'll be sorted in the scoping study.
Yeah.
Right. Pauline, were you done? Andre?
Sorry, we'll just say ECAN is struggling to keep up with bus routes for growth areas with new subdivisions that are 5 kilometres away from any bus services. The idea that they're going to even exercise the thought and have funding available for a free service in the city with no revenue just honestly seems absolutely far-fetched. So that even that idea and concept should be ruled out.
The question would be, righto, we'll leave that there.
Okay,
Next
on to the
one, please. Debate's going to be exciting, isn't it? Yeah, I see that.
It's only got 3 minutes.
Righto. Tell me all about it, Andre. What are you doing here, bud?
No, so the staff advice is that this is
No,
not
not quite,
required.
sorry. Yeah.
I possibly should have been clearer. I believe it should be a question in the consultation document, which is sort of where I was going with that. So being a breakout bubble. It's a very, very significant change from the long-term plan.
The consultation document already notes.
Yeah.
Notes, but doesn't ask as a question via a breakout bubble.
We'll
That's what I was meaning by that. I should have been clear earlier today.
Okay. Been clear? Righto. Got it?
Yeah, we don't need a whole resolution. We can just add it as a breakout bubble. We could just do council notes that this matter will be a breakout bubble in the consultation document.
Okey-doke. Next, please.
Loverstokes Pathway. It seeks advice on the cost of constructing. This path or proposed path or gap in the pathway system is part of the new footpath program, which is currently being scoped and prioritised. We will be reporting back to council with more advice on that later in March. And below there is the amendment from the long-term plan and the work that's being undertaken.
Don't need it.
So, yep.
You're right. Happy?
Good.
Good. Thank you. Next, please.
No.
Right. Okay.
Oh, this one.
Possible to actually get a little bit more advice about why it's got insufficient information
We'd have to go
and what information you'd require.
We'd have to go into PX to do that. We'd have to go into PX to do that. So
We have to go into PX.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess it would be good to get advice from staff then. I'd welcome the information in PX, even though this has been a really public issue.
Mm-hmm.
So shall we move on and do everything else and then decide whether we come into PX, go into PX for that?
Okay. Next one, please.
So if we go back to the ones, just run through those ones. So we'll just run through all of them, just clarifying what are the amendments that are standing now that you will be debating. And then...
So red, where necessary, has been moved up to blue.
We're still on the transport page, aren't we? So these are the ones from earlier.
Oh, from earlier?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Are you going right back to start?
So that's the ones that we debated before, considered before lunch.
Right.
I think we've got them.
Oh, good.
Sorry. Tyler.
Just a question mark on the consultation document itself. When are we? Should I have provided feedback at the start of the meeting?
No, we're doing
Event?
that later.
Okay. That's
If
fine.
you look at, I think it's on that run
Yep.
sheet you've got.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
sweet.
About the second to last page in the last one.
Yeah, and lastly, with the potential amendment that I've got that came in late, obviously, what will happen with that, Mary?
I think we've called for amendments. We'd have to add it in. You'd need to supply
Okay,
the
cool.
wording. Can you send it through and you'll need a move and seconder?
Oh, it's sent through. So the alternative recommendation is is a workshop essentially before the annual plan's adopted. Is that correct?
Perhaps not now. Perhaps we move through these ones
Okay.
first and then we can come to it.
So we're going down these to make
Yep.
sure every mover and seconder
Yes,
is
happy with that's what they're,
and
yeah.
then we will debate on
All of them.
them.
Yes, yep.
Okay, here's the first one. So, what you see there, is everybody happy? Because we'll move on and then we'll be doing debate in a minute.
If so, there's two here. There's the actual motion and there's a foreshadowed. If they both failed, we don't need to consult. We can just choose at the end to use the surplus, can't we? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because by then we'll have certainty as to how much it might be, which we don't now. So we couldn't even say it was going to be 8 million.
Correct. Yes, essentially correct. We don't know what we are forecasting as surplus, but we're saying there's risk at the moment because it's not certain.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So do you want to keep yours at additional 8 million when we don't know what it's going to be?
Yeah, I want to change mine. I'm good with 8 mil because we're sitting at 20 at the moment. We've only used 8, so.
So you're okay. All of it, or just a proportion of it? So, do you want to agrees to consult on carrying forward a proportion or all of the forecasts thing? Because at the moment your foreshadowed resolution is suggesting all of the surplus get. Yeah.
Good luck explaining that one in the CD, but I look forward to reading it.
Okay.
Is that, do
Right.
finance people, does that make sense?
So that is one, that's the first one of many, that is now mover and seconder happy. The foreshadowed motion person is happy. We'll move on to the next one.
Yep.
Right, thank you. Okay, what have we got here?
Moving seconder and foreshadowed ones, you're happy?
All right.
Great, on we
Good.
go.
Thank you. Sorry.
Just a quick thing on the numbers there. So in the previous one, the rates impact was the same going down and then going back up again. And for this one, we go down by 0.32, but we go up by 0.34. just trying to work out why the other one didn't go up by more than the decrease, or why this one is.
Okay, so the first one, the jump in year 2 is effectively that $8 million, bridging that gap again in year 2. And the second one, it's moving funds that we had earmarked to be offsetting debt. Now we're not, so this is then not offsetting that debt, it's going straight to rates. So therefore that debt repayment impact is factored into there.
Okay. And so at the moment it's 7.7 million of OPEX for 1% on rates. If that changes, it's around there?
In the order of, yes.
Oh, in
it's
the order.
around-
But
yeah.
if that changes, it could be more or less of a jump up next time for either of these.
Yeah, through you, Mr.
Yeah,
Mayor.
yeah.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, as the rates increase, it'll be a smaller percentage.
Right. Right. Next one, please. Sam?
So is this where you wanted to foreshadow something Tyler, Councillor Harrison Hunt.
This one's fine.
Oh, I thought earlier you said
consultants?
you wanted to foreshadow, but you're okay
You're
with
happy.
flagging that now. Okay.
Right, thank you. Next, please. Okay, we talk that around. Victoria, are you happy with that, mate?
My query is, given that the analysis piece of work hasn't yet been done, well, it hasn't been shared with us, so I'm assuming that that work hasn't been done and it needs to be done. If the staff, during that course of work, decide that the program is undeliverable and they need to reduce it, then can they just do that automatically? Because this is then saying that the council are agreeing that the core capital program is aligned with the deliverability forecast. So if as a result of that piece of work, they decide that it's undeliverable and that they need to drop it, then it drops automatically without anybody having a say on it.
It would come to
We
FEP.
So this is what I'm asking. What is that process? How does that actually happen?
FEP every month if there's a change to the capital program.
Okay. Yeah, I'm okay with that. And I look forward with anticipation to see how that rolls, because I've got some serious reservations.
You want this resolution, you're happy with it?
Yes, I'm happy with
Not
it.
resolution,
Tyrone is
sorry,
my
amendment.
seconder.
Good. Thank you very much. Next one, please. So that's
I think nothing's changed since before, so you're happy with that? Roll on. And I think you were happy with that earlier this morning, so we move on with that.
Aaron?
A9.
Okay, take out the...
Yeah, that was just more to explain people what I mean.
Okay.
But yeah.
Yeah, if we take out Wellington, it's probably got more chance of success.
Yeah.
Well, it has been successful. It's a very good tool.
It's a great tool. Anyone's had a look?
They've beat us to it.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Have you seen what they're doing with their water at the
you're
moment?
right then.
Should be able to find out who voted for water and who didn't over last decades as well, and the tool makes it very easy to do.
All right.
So do we just need to go back to this one here, where we were just to clarify that there was insufficient information. So you're happy with
And it's
Yeah,
just around
how
the
does that
corner.
sound?
Okay.
Just a noting one that
Note. Yep.
the council note a report on a potential sale of Litchfield Street car parking building. And then you could maybe add in on options for the use of those funds.
That's enough. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. Okay, thank you.
Great.
Yeah, that one's right. Oh, no, sorry.
Yep, no, that Councillor Peters was happy with that earlier.
Yep.
Can we withdraw that since we're going to add it to the consultation document? Okay, so we can withdraw it. Yep.
And that one I was seconding.
Aaron, please.
It was just online because I do like this, because you often see the comments online who voted for this rubbish. But and then we can just point them in the direction. It doesn't matter how they feel. But do we have an idea of the cost, or is there a potential that we can just buy a copy and paste version that they use in Wellington?
So this is asking for that advice.
Oh, is it?
This is just asking for the advice so that we can make a decision on it.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's right then.
We can't because we scrubbed out.
Right. The one on screen. The one on screen, everyone. No questions? Next one, please. You're both happy?
So these are the ones that were pulled out. So it's the other one earlier. Oh no, was it? Yeah, okay. So I thought there was another one.
Yeah, I thought there was one in the middle as well.
Yeah.
Okay, that's out.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Next one. Yeah, so that's the one I was expecting. Sorry. So, Councillor Fields, you're happy with this? This is what. So we were ruling it out, but you wanted a point in that you were requesting advice. So that's been done. Okay, great.
Next one, please.
That's out.
That
It's
one's
gone.
out. Thank you.
So we've got further advice on that. So
Yeah, thank you, and through you, Your Worship. Look, there is a lot of risk around this, and it's really dependent on a high degree of assurance or confidence that the cathedral won't come and ask for the money before 30 June next year. There's quite a subtle accounting issue in here that we have discussed, but the upshot of it is that there's a lot of that we would advise there's significant risk around this based on on whether or not the request comes before the end 30 June next year, and that we don't know.
Mm-hmm.
and in the break, I did ring the chair of the cathedral, who advised that there is a high likelihood that a claim, that the project may be initiated in that next financial year, even if it was in a staged process, so they could make a call on the money.
Yep. Victoria?
To help me understand this, please. So, given that there's the option to stop rating and to put the money we've already collected on term deposit for it to grow, if we reallocate the money now and then have to repay it when the project, make the advance when the project's reinstated, is it going to end up costing us more because we haven't earned the interest? Potentially.
Well, one, we'd have a hole in our budget, wouldn't we? Because we would have spent the 5 million and now we're going to have to pay it over.
We would have to borrow, through you, Your Worship, yes, we would have to borrow that money and then collect it via rates over a period of time, and we'd end up paying the interest rate. Yeah,
so it's not cost neutral, it's going to end up having to pay more.
Yeah, essentially correct. That's I think that's right. Yes.
Yes, Tim.
Borrow 7, not 5.
The bit I was struggling with, because I could see where Andre was coming from, was, and Beeb, you might try and explain it so that people understand it, which is really good. In my mind, if there's a commitment for the money, there'd have to be a P&L entry this year anyway, which would make any saving redundant, because you can't recognise a commitment in the P&L, in the balance sheet without it hitting the P&L. So, can you just talk at a
so that the question in that, and that's the sort of the subtlety, I guess, of the accounting issue, has, through you, Your Worship, has that commitment which already exists. So it has been created because the commitment was made some time ago. So the commitment already exists, and are we dealing with a funding issue that we have collected the rate, and that's the source from which we'll fund it. Now, we're trying to work through whether that effectively would neutralise it, because from a funding angle, if you then go and say, we're actually not going to collect that money, do we create a provision or a liability we then have to recognise, I think, is your question. And that's the accounting issue we're wanting to work through, because the commitment exists, or is it just purely a funding issue? The upshot of it is that if we use that money now and there is a call made on it, then we are putting effectively, we are saying to the community, we've collected the money, we've got it there ready to go, we then deploy it to some other use, and then we have to immediately, if it's go and get it. So there is a high degree of risk.
I just want to be, just for people sort of watching, just to be clear, in my mind, it's because of the commitment that even if we were to repurpose it, there's a commitment that needs to hit the P&L this year, which then creates the issue. Yeah, so you can't just get the commitment without recognising something this year, which becomes a problem. So I just think as long as we're clear on that, that's yeah.
Andre?
Thank you. If you're seizing the levy and then you need 7 million soon, where would that money come from? And then would seizing the levy therefore also cost more?
So we'd have the 5 million that we could pay over.
Yeah, but you wouldn't have the balance.
Yeah, but we could pay it over time. So we could pay out the 5 million and gather the 7 in the next financial year. The extra 2 in the next
Extra
financial
2,
year.
that's right.
Yeah.
And through you, Your Worship, when the original budget was drawn back in a number of years ago, it contemplated that there may be some paid in advance of all of the money being collected. That's why if you do the numbers, it actually, you collect a bit more because it reflects that there's an interest component in there. So that had already been budgeted into when it was originally proposed.
My question is, would it cost more to seize the levy and need to get more money later? That will cost more in the long term?
Well, I suppose through you, we're starting to get into quite an issue here, but potentially yes, because over the time that the money was collected, interest rates were lower, they are higher now, and so the cost of funds has increased, and we will be, the community would then have to fund that at a higher cost than they were presently.
Okay, thank you.
Right. Next one, please.
So that one's out.
Yep.
Can I just clarify, is that being put to the vote or is it gone?
No, it's gone. It's been ruled out of order. No. The museum, the cathedral one is, we're recommending is gone. Yeah,
Gone.
ruled out of order.
Out of order, yep. Signet Street. I think Gavin's explained that pretty well.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's
Okay.
right.
Next one, please.
That's it.
That's everything. Are we getting rid of
Which one's it?
that one there,
The
Signet
cathedral.
Road Street?
No, it's keeping that. Yep.
Mark?
Yeah, sorry, can I just circle back to the Air Force Museum amendment? Are we going to see some wording for the consultation document ahead of
Yep, you are.
confirmation? Thank you.
In that later on down. Schedule, we've updated it.
Okay, is that the end of things?
Yep.
Is that as good as it
So we've
gets?
done the transport ones.
We do need to tidy the document. What's going to take 5 minutes while we just...
So if we take 5 minutes, we'll tidy up the document and then into debate.
And then we will come back and debate the whole lot for 3 minutes each.
When are we going into PX to get the advice? Even though, I mean, I don't support going to PX, but that's what staff have said.
So we do we do that now? Going to PX, then have the break, then come back.
I'm just bringing the resolution.
So
Okay, so
I'm
we
moving
need to
it.
resolve.
Did we move in?
Need to resolve. Going to PX.
No, you don't need to move.
Yeah, oh no, he doesn't.